What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Bullish Chips, where we use a proven and repeatable strategy to make money every day. This channel happens to focus on the Bullish Semiconductor ETF, which goes by the ticker symbol SOXL. But the charting method and the trading method that we use can be implemented to with any company that's traded in the U.S. stock market. So make sure you hit that like button if you enjoy this video. It really helps the channel to grow. Want to say thanks to all those who continue to tune in. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe and the notification button as well. That way you are alerted when we release new videos. We do release bonus content from time to time, but the nightly and weekend videos, like tonight's video, we focus on identifying the triggers and targets for trades ranging from scalps and intraday trades all the way up to long-term swings and leaps. So if you want a deeper dive into how we set up our charts, make sure you check out that bonus content that we talked about just a minute ago. I've got a couple of videos that dive deeper into that. If you want a quick reference guide for the strat, check out the description of this video. There's a free PDF for you in there. So I do encourage you to watch the full video. We do give the triggers and targets, but we talk about the price action on all time frames and give some pretty good insight. So make sure you hang with us through the whole video. Let's go ahead and check out the agenda for today. We'll go ahead and recap price action from Monday, December 15th. Then we'll zoom out like we always do, look at the week, month, quarter, and year before we zoom back in and set our 4-hour markers and the triggers and targets for Tuesday, December 16th. And we'll review the targets and triggers for the week, month, quarter, and year as well. So I'm just looking at the intraday chart, 5-minute time frame like we normally do, when I normally start out with. We can see we've got the major 4-hour markers on the chart, previous high day up at the top of the chart, previous low day towards the bottom. Then we've got the overnight low here, this light blue dashed line, and we've got the overnight high here with the light blue dashed line. Also, we've got the opening print, which is the first traded price of the day. A couple of honorable mention levels for us out there. We've got this purple dash line that is last week's 50% level. We talk every week about how what happens with this level usually dictates what's going to happen for the week, especially early on. So we can see, we're not testing last week's 50% at this point. We're fading away from it. So that generally means that, at least for this first half of the week, if not the full week, we'll have sideways to downward action. Now, if we do go retest this, say tomorrow, then we have to look at how we react, right? Do we just hit it and reject and come back down? If so, then again, we're most likely going to see more bearish to neutral to bearish activity. If we bust through it, then okay, maybe we've got a chance to still with sideways action, but maybe press up the rest of the week. Do we bust through and then pull back and retest and find support and bounce from there? If so, things are looking good for the week, but we just always want to keep in mind where that 50% level of the previous week was. And then also we've got the market makers expected move high here at 46.69, this purple short dash line. If you're not familiar with that level, make sure you check out our weekend video where we dive deeper into that. And it lines up pretty evenly with last year's 50% level. And we've talked about over the last few months as we've approached and been around this area, how big of a support and resistance, major support and resistance level this is. We'll see that here as we go through the charts a little bit further. But I just wanted to mention the major levels that we have in our view with today's open. Right now, obviously we opened up, let's go here, let's make this a little bigger, there we go. Obviously we opened up down from Friday's close, up from Friday's close, but down from the high of day, right? So just barely down, high of day, overnight high, I apologize, it's a Monday. So we're just barely down from the overnight high. And when we talked about this a little bit last week. I should probably talk about it more often when we do open like this. But when you open at an extreme of the overnight range, right, instead of in the middle of the overnight range, you have an opportunity for what people call inventory correction, right? So if everyone overnight has continued to buy it up, and we open right at the overnight high, a lot of times you'll see the overnight buyers, sell at that point, take profit. allow the rest of the market to come in. So you a lot of times you can see a pullback to a lot of times maybe even overnight low, but at least a pullback initially. So we had that in mind this morning, that we're opening towards the high. Towards the overnight high, that is. We also know that Friday was a pretty big down day for us, right? So we have to just take that into account, right? We've made lower lows on the day chart, lower highs and lower lows on the 4-hour chart. This week would play a big part in determining whether last week was a lower high on the week perspective. So we've got kind of a lot riding this morning on the open and what might happen. So we knew that we probably would have to get down to a 1-minute chart to open things up. And that's what we did. And we were lucky enough that we were able to, let's get everything in view here. Let's get the whole day on. There we go. Monday, there we go. And we were lucky enough to get a lower high pretty early on, right? So if you're familiar with this channel, you know that the reason why we're looking at this 5-minute chart for the opening and we have these 4-hour markers is that we look for where the opening print is and what happens with price action from there. So if we get opening print and we push down and we maybe push back up but make a lower high at or below this opening print level, we want to get into puts. If we open and we push up and maybe pull back but we get a higher low at or above opening print, then we want to look to get into calls. And the overnight high and previous high of day are going to be your targets to the upside, and overnight low and previous low of day would be your targets to the downside. And so we see here, we've talked in the past as well, as there's a little bit of nuance that can go in there, right? It doesn't have to be right at the opening print level, exactly at 43.10, right? We got this lower high just slightly above opening print. So we did get this lower high and went ahead and grabbed some puts as soon as we broke the low of this 2-up candle, locking this in as a lower high, right? And we were able to ride that lower low, equal highs, lower high, continue to push down, right? So once we were in here, we got that first push down, we're able to flip back out to the 5-minute and see where things are at, right? We always want to look at multiple time frames. We don't want to get locked in on just one. And we could see, right, here's our downdraft. Now we're just looking for some type of lower high on the 5-minute. And if we switch back out to, it's like, here's our multi-chart view, right? Here's the 15-minute. We got the 1 hour in the top middle, 4-hour, bottom left is the day, and then the week chart. Over here on the right, we've got our internals, right? So if we look at the tick, right, which is the quickest moving one, we can see, yes, we opened up and we push straight down, right? Lower high, push straight down to the 0 line and through it, right? So we're down below to the 0 line on the tick. If we look at vol QD, right, same type of thing. Yeah, we opened above the 0 line, but basically at the 0 line. And then what we did is go straight down from there, right? Lastly, if we look at the ADQD, market breadth, right, open and straight down, right? So we knew that there's a good chance that we're going to get that lower high on the 5-minute and continue to push down. So we stayed in, waited for the lower high, actually added a few more contracts there, unloaded part of our position here at overnight low because that was the first target. And then knowing that we had that big down day on Friday, wanted to protect against any exhaustion. So grab a little bit of our profit here. And we were able to ride this down to previous low of day, actually tick down on previous low of day, so marking a 2 down on the day. And then because we went because Friday's low was the low of last week, that also meant that we went 2 down on the week, just barely, locking in a lower high on the week. We'll look at that here in a second. But anyways, we were able to come back up here, get this lower high and push down, but then we got this soft higher low and then broke above to basically kind of lock that in. So we went ahead and took our profit there. We were looking at possibly taking the risk to reward back to the upside with calls here with the bounce off of overnight low. But again, you go to the internals, which is just below 0 line on the tick, just continued to go down on the vol QD, continued to go down and stay down on the breadth. So there was no reason to really jump into calls, even though the risk to reward was there. And then we did end up, jumping in some more puts. Where's the rate chart? There we go. With the lower high on the 1 hour, right? So I'm sorry, was it the 1 hour? No, lower high on the 15 minute. There was, yeah. So once we got this lower high on the 15 minute, we went ahead and grabbed some more puts. So we are swinging a few overnight, but able to make some pretty good profit intraday off of those day trades, right? A little bit more risk going overnight, but we'll see what happens. Nothing really there to indicate that we should be making some bullish bounce in the morning. Now we do have economic numbers that are going to be released in the morning, and you can see on the hour time frame. Let's make this bigger here. As of now, we're making basically an equal low, slightly higher low. So if we were to open up Tuesday and push up, lock this in as a equal low or higher low on the 1 hour, now we've got a possible reverse in trend, at the very least sideways action, right? Because we'd have this lower high, lower low, but then we would have a higher low. And then depending on whether we make the higher high or a lower high, if we make a lower high on the 1 hour, then obviously we're going to get consolidation, sideways action. If we get that higher high, then obviously we're looking for, any type of pullback and confirmation of, this level as being a bounce point or support, and then possibly, grabbing calls to or adding to your position to the upside going up there, right? Now we do have to keep in mind, like we talked about at the beginning, this is let's get a better chart here. This is technically a downtrend on the 4 hour, right? We've got the lower high and lower low. So plenty of room to pick up a lower high and continue the downtrend. So watch out for any, real dead cat bounces. Again, that a great place that we could see a rejection if we bounce here is the market maker's expected move high, which is last year's 50% level. Again, we've talked about this for a while now. It was resistance, 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 little bit of support, resistance, little support, resistance, little resistance. We've got resistance support on that 46.79 level. It's a major support resistance level. So if we do get that bounce, watch this level for any type of rejections that would either continue sideways or to the downside, more downside action. All right. We talked about on the day. Again, we poked down for the 2 down on the day. And, not too much to say here other than we still got plenty of room to put in a higher low. It'd be kind of painful if you've got, more longer term or mid-term calls, I would say, not long term, or if you've had short-term calls, you would have to, eat some more downside. But we can get down all the way to, what's this low, 32.05 before putting in a lower low on the day chart. So, you just got to continue to watch. We've got the month flip here at 39.59. So if we do go below that, the month is red. And the last year's 50% level is right there, or last month's 50% level is right there as well. So, it's kind of funny how these levels start to line up. And then we do have the gap down here at the 37 level with the gap close right around the market maker's expected move low. So, we're not calling either way. If you follow this channel, we don't make predictions. We just have, triggers and targets ready for both sides of action. But we can definitely see, more pullback here and not be surprised, right? Not necessarily asking for it, but if we get it, we'll take it and take those triggers and take them to their targets, and then continue to analyze price action once they get to our targets. So that's what we've got from just looking at today's price action. Let's go ahead and look at the week. Like I was saying, we did tick down for a 2 down on the weeks. Let's make this bigger here. All right. So the week did go 2 down, meaning price action went below the low of last week's price action. And you can see this high here is lower than this high. So technically we have put in a lower high on the week. And, we've got to watch now. Are we going to get sideways action, consolidation, or is this the start of a downtrend, right? If we go down here, break this 28 level, right? Now we've got a downtrend on the week. And, now the bears are more in control at that point. Again, right now we're looking pretty neutral. neutral leaning bullish because we still have plenty of room to put in higher lows on a few different time frames. But at this point we need to kind of be on watch to see how the rest of the year ends, because there's plenty of potential to the downside, right? Zoom out a little bit more and let's take a look at the month. All right, and again, we're still inside, still staying in the top half of last month's price action, but looking a lot more neutral than we did, just the middle of last week, right? We were looking to go 2 up on the month, locking in last month as a higher low, but you can see right now we have pulled back, almost got that 2 up, but we have pulled back. We talked about even if we did get that 2 up, though, we did want to clear the high of this 2 up so that it was a higher high and not a situation where we put in a lower high. And now this is the start of a downtrend. If we go lower low past that 28 level, right, then we're in that downtrend on the week for sure. And then that triggers the downtrend that would trigger the downtrend on the month. So we do have a little bit of a saving grace from the month perspective as far as that's concerned. We didn't go 2 up. So if we continue to pull back and we go 2 down this month, not a lot of month left to go, so I don't know that we would go 2 down this month, but it's certainly possible. So, but if we do go 2 down on the month, it's more of just a continuation of the pullback from this high, and not so much putting in a lower high and then lower low. But we do have to be very careful, because if we get below this 2350 level, now we're putting in a lower low. This is a soft higher low, so got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, but you got to look at, that's a major level there. That's last year's low. That's the 0% fib extension of the bull flag from the April 7th run up and pullback. So that's a very important level, 2350, if we get to it. So just want to continue to watch out and see what happens. But right now we just got to be patient, right? From the quarter, we're still looking okay. We're above this 36.15, so we're in this one combo 2 down, combo 2 up, targeting this 70.08. But we are getting closer back closer to that 36.15 level, where we would no longer be in force and actually be risking putting in a lower high on the quarter perspective. And that's actually coming after a lower low on the quarter, so that would for sure start a downtrend, right? Start a downtrend. We wouldn't be locked into a downtrend until we made a lower low. But at best, we would be neutral, right? So we don't want to see that on the quarter perspective, but still looking okay. And on the year, looking way better than we did at the beginning of the year, right? Beginning of the year, we triggered the 1, 2 up, 2 down, able to make a higher low, kind of hammer up here. Still got some wick on top, a little bit more wick on top than I'd like to see, but it's less wick than there is on the bottom. So it's more bullish than bearish when just looking at a straight candle perspective, and want to just continue to push up through the end of the year so that we can hopefully, very early in the year of 2026, next year, trigger the 2 down, 2 up, which also has that target of 70.08, just like the quarters, 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up. All right. So that's what we've got from a zoomed out perspective. Let's go ahead and zoom back in here, and we will talk about 4-hour markers and the triggers and targets for Tuesday, December 16th. All right. So what we've got here, let's make sure we got all our levels in here. We've got the previous high a day, previous low a day, like we normally do. Let's just say we get a push up overnight, and our overnight high is up here towards the 4-hour trigger to the upside, and our overnight low stays where it's at. All right. So we'll just talk about, again, scalping early morning, or just trying to get an early entry into whichever way the day is going to trend. We're looking for what price action does moving from opening print. So let's get the right tool. So let's say, we do get some push up overnight, but we pull back and we open in the middle of the range. If we open in the middle of the overnight range, then we're looking, do we see price action to the upside or downside? And do we see a higher, lower high, right? So if we open here, we push up, say we reject off an overnight high, we pull back, but we get a higher low somewhere around here. You want to enter calls Obviously, first target being overnight high doesn't give a lot of magnitude there. So maybe you unload a few of contracts at that position and taking a little bit of profit. But ultimately, the target is the previous high a day up here at 43.42. Now, we do want to watch this 43.10 level. That is the week flip. So that's where the week opened up. The week flip tends to be an intraday support resistance level. So even if we do get that higher low and we push through overnight high, watch for any type of rejection or even just sideways action around the week flip before we get to that previous high a day, right? Also, so in the same sense, on the other side of the coin, right, if we open and we push down, say we bounce off of overnight low and we push back up, but we get a lower high here before or at or around opening print, then we want to get into puts. First target being overnight low, second target being previous low a day. Obviously not a lot of magnitude to the downside, so if price does go below there, you want to look at your notes for the triggers and targets on the 4-hour chart and day chart and so on. But just for initial scalping in the morning and then like early entries into the longer day trades, getting in early on whatever direction we're going, we want to look for higher lows at or above opening print to get into calls and lower highs at or below opening print to get into puts, right? Let's go to the 4-hour chart here and look at more of a day trade, intraday, maybe a couple hour scalp here. Excuse me. We can see that on Monday we had a 2-1, very low one, right? So looks more bearish than even neutral, right? But if we do get price action to the downside, there's not a lot of magnitude on the intraday reversal, right? So if we go to the downside, it gives us a 2-1, 2 down, but our entry is at the low of the 1 and the exit is at the low of the 2. So obviously we would be looking for more follow through than that. But from just a straight strat perspective, that's what you would have to the downside for the reversal on the 4-hour, reversal on the 1-hour, continuation to the downside on the 4-hour. Now, if we're looking at for the reversal on the 4-hour, we would have a 2-1, 2 up, right? Entering at the high of this 1, exiting at the high of the 2. Now, what we do have to watch out for, even if we get that price action to the upside, watch out for a 1, 2 up, 2 down reversal, right? So that would be kind of like our dead cat bounce that we were talking about, where you get some price action to the upside and then, run out of steam and then just continue to fall down, right? So, even if we do get that 2 up, just be careful, right? Don't get too far ahead of your skis. If we look at the day chart, all right, we could have a 2 down and then a 2 down tomorrow continuation, obviously triggering at the low of Monday's price action. First targets being this month flip and last month's 50% area, right? Could see a bounce there. But if not, then look for the top of the gap. We've talked about many times in the past how intraday tops and bottoms of gaps can be bounce points, and we not actually fill the gap until the next day. So if we do get a nice flush tomorrow, we could see the top of the gap being, the lowest we get, and then have to wait for tomorrow or later on to fill that gap. But that's what we've got to the downside. Just a continuation. Now, if we get a reversal to the upside, it's a 2 down, 2 up reversal, right? Obviously entering at the high of Monday and the exit being the high of Friday. So a lot of magnitude on that. However, we are in this downtrend, so we do need to make sure we have a couple of places that we are aware of where price can reverse, and that is last week's 50% level and last year's 50% level, right? That's market makers expected move high is right there as well. So market makers expected move is not an end all be all. It doesn't mean price action has to stop there, but 70% of the time price stays within the range that the market makers point out. And so if we do push up there again, don't necessarily expect a whole lot more unless we have some catalysts. And again, we've got economic numbers. Micron has earnings on Wednesday, so we could get those catalysts. I'm not saying that we won't get them, but if we don't have those catalysts, definitely watch for this level to be a level to either go sideways or reverse back down. All right. It's a lot of talking and looking at the charts. Let's look at the hard numbers real quick, right? So if we got Tuesday, December 16th, there would be 10 trading days left in 2025. The close price on Monday, December 15th was 41.18. And we know the opening print for the week is 43.10, right? So we get above 43.10, that turns the week back green. Now the month, quarter, and year are all green, but again, we're pretty close to flipping that month red, so you need to watch out for that. What this means is we've got conflicting time frames, meaning that there's nobody has control right now. There's the bears and bulls are fighting over it. The bulls obviously have the long-term control, but short-term, the bears are making their voices heard, and we've got to keep an eye on that level. All right. We talked about the market maker's expected move for the week, plus or minus $4.98 from the close on Friday, which gave us a range of 46.69 to 36.73. We always keep track of where our gaps are. Again, we could approach this one here tomorrow if we have some real downside action, but just want to keep those in mind. We talked about on the scalping perspective, we're looking for higher lows at or above opening print to get into calls, targeting overnight high and previous high a day. And we're looking for lower highs at or below opening print to get into puts, targeting overnight low and previous low a day. Now, from the 4-hour perspective, we talked about to the downside, there's not a lot of magnitude, but there is a 2-1-2 down continuation that can be had. It's triggered at 40.88. And the magnitude is 40.80, so again, 8 cents of magnitude. But if we do continue to push down, we've got some extended targets here for us. To the upside, if we get that 2-1-2 up reversal, that triggers at 42.25 and has a magnitude of 43.42. But because we are in this downtrend, we wanted to make sure we had a knowledge of where price could flip right there at 43.10. And if we do reach magnitude and continue past that, we just have the extended target of 43.80. That's for the 4-hour time frame. If we're looking at the day chart and we go to the downside, it's just a continuation of two down continuation, triggering at 40.80. And we've got some targets here to the upside. If we flip, that gives us a 2 down, 2 up, triggering at 43.42. Magnitude being 47.38. Being that far away in the face of a downtrend, we wanted to make sure we had some intermediate targets there. So we have 45.58, 46.79. That could be reversal points or points where we go sideways. 46.79 should stick out to anybody that watches this channel regularly. That is last year's 50% level, and you know how much of a support resistance level that is. So just be on the lookout for that. But ultimately, the magnitude of that 2 down, 2 up move would be 47.38. We'll stick with the notes. Looked at enough charts here today. Going to the week time frame, we did trigger this 2 up, 2 down. I don't know why this is green. Let's take care of this real quick. Show colors, and we'll make that red. All right, get that out of here. All right, so the week is red, and we have triggered the 2 up, 2 down. We went below 41.06. Now the magnitude of that move is 39.46. We haven't reached it yet. And actually, if we reach that magnitude, we are then triggering a 2 up combo 2 down. So let's actually just put that here. Combo 2 down. All right. This one is not in force yet, so we will. Oops. Come on now. There we go. We will unbolt it. So we have triggered the 2 up, 2 down on the week, which the magnitude is 39.46. If we reach 39.46, we then trigger the 2 up combo 2 down, and the magnitude for that is 39.25, right? So not a whole lot more magnitude. But if we reach that, we've probably got some momentum going to the downside, so we do have some extended targets listed here for us. At the same time, if we reverse and we go and make a green 3 on the week, or in other words, a bullish engulfing candle, we would have to get up past 50.09. The initial target would be 50.76, and then we have our extended targets listed out here as well. All right. We talked about earlier on the month, we're still an inside, so we're still waiting for a 2 up combo 2 down to trigger, or a 2 down 2 up to trigger. 28.12 is the trigger for the downside, so we've still got a ways to go, and we're trying to get that triggered on the month to lock in last month as a higher low. So got to get back up to that 50.19 level. We talked about on the quarter, we're in this 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up that triggered at 36.15. So as long as we're above that, ultimate target is 70.08, but we do have targets, milestones essentially to hit over time. We did hit these first 2 earlier on in the quarter before the pullback, but since we have pulled back, we've got those back out there as targets, right? And then on the year, we talked about, we triggered the 1, 2 up, 2 down, but have reversed it quite nicely, making a higher low, giving ourselves a green hammer candle situation on the year chart, and putting us in play for a good possible chance of going 2 down, 2 up in 2026, giving us that same 70.08 magnitude for that move, right? So that's what we've got for today's video. Those are your triggers and targets for everything ranging from a scalping perspective all the way up for the 1 year chart. Hope everybody enjoyed the video. We tried to cram in as much information in as possible without taking up too much of your time. So again, we hope you did like it. It is a free video. It's free education out there. So if you did like it and you've made it this far, we'd really love it if you gave us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow, helps us understand, who we're helping. And, it doesn't cost you anything. So we just ask that you give us a thumbs up if you've made it this far, and we'll end the video like we normally do. If you're watching this Monday night, we hope you get some good rest tonight, wake up refreshed tomorrow and ready to trade. If you're watching this Tuesday morning, we hope you got some good rest last night and woke up refreshed this morning, and we look forward to getting out there and trading with you.